Good morning, YouTube. This is the ShallowCross Sports Network with Double A, bringing you a new show. Took a little while for me to do an additional show since the signing day on last Wednesday, but we're gonna recap the signing day and give you a little bit of news on that. And with that said, let's get right on into it. Well, Tennessee had a big success on Wednesday with the National Signing Day. They finished 7th across the country with their signing class. Picked up actually 3 5-stars with a lot of 4-star pluses. So they did exceptionally well, and we'll see what they do. The big news, Josh Heupel fired Tim Banks on Monday, which was yesterday, and we're going to look at what the ramifications are going to be for losing a guy like Tim Banks. Because when you look at it, Tim Banks was up for the best defensive assistant job, defensive coordinator job award last year, and then he went downhill from where he is now. From where he was in 24 all the way down to where he is now in 25. So should he been given another year? I think so. But Heupel's hands were probably tied. The athletic director probably told him to fire him. So, should some more people be fired? Probably so. The offense, maybe by the numbers, they look great, and everybody's bragging about the offense, but the offense couldn't score against Alabama when they needed to. They couldn't score against Oklahoma when they needed to, and so when you look at there's some other problems besides just Tim Banks. And then also in the Oklahoma game, in the Vanderbilt game, and in the Alabama game, our offensive line didn't play well. They didn't play well at all. They got whooped pretty bad on both sides, along with the defensive line, in all 3 of those games. So, I guess everybody's celebrating the firing of Tim Banks, but the thing about that is, who we gonna get to replace him? So some of the names that I came up with from just doing some research and looking at what the media is talking about is the defensive coordinator Haynes from Indiana. He's a good defensive coordinator. Don't think he'll be able to leave, though. I think that Indiana's going to keep him in the fold. And then the other defensive coordinator's name is Walters up at Washington, University of Washington. Very good resume. Both of them, Haynes and Walters, have very good resumes. Jim Knowles. The thing about Jim Knowles, James Franklin realized he needed a new OC and he needed a new DC. So they went out and paid $3.5 or $3.1 million to lure Jim Knowles to Penn State. And see what happened, right? They were no better than they were the year before, and James Franklin got fired. So I wouldn't be looking at Jim Knowles if I was Tennessee. And then the other, Ron English. up at Louisville. Very good defensive coordinator. His defensive scheme, I like his defensive scheme. I would like to have a defensive coordinator at Tennessee that plays a little bit of the 4-man front. Maybe a 4-2-5, and then you disguise it and slide that linebacker up in there and make it a 43. Or you have that Leo playing in there, bouncing back and forth, where you can disguise it as a 3-4. But the thing is, that's what all these three guys that I mentioned that Tennessee should look at. They play that multiple defense, and of course, and then the other thing too is, a lot of times, people that have never played, they think that Tennessee all they played was zone, and a lot of times it's not zone. A lot of time it can be a disguised zone where one part of the secondary is playing man-to-man and the other part is playing zone. And that's what happens. Or you can have one guy playing man-to-man and then the other 3 or 4 guys, depending on if you're in a 5 or playing 5 secondary players, they're playing zone. So that's usually what happens in the secondary. And then the other thing too is, I'm looking at Tennessee's needs before we get into the bowl. I'm looking at Tennessee's needs also. Their needs, as far as I'm concerned, from what I've seen in my observation, Tennessee needs a big bell cow running back to go in there to take Star Thomas's place. We got 3 scat backs, You got Morris, you got Lewis, and you got Bishop. We need that big bell cow guy that can get them tough yards for us. And so I was looking at some guys, and I'm going to read them out to you later. So that's one of the positions. And then 2, if we lose Legend Bay eventually, based on that Saigon, we'll talk about that a little bit too, a little bit later. But we may need to go out and get us a grown receiver, even though we have some real good guys. Matthews is going to be great, and he played great. Staley played great. We need a experienced wide receiver to go along with them, just like we had with Brazel. But I believe Brazel may leave. This depends on if Brazel, what he does in the workouts and the combine and what kind of grade he gets. Now, the thing that kind of concerns me about Brazel leaving is the fact that Mel Kiper doesn't have Brazel in his top 15 wide receivers in the draft. That's Mel Kiper. We don't know. We'll find out later on. I haven't looked at a lot of the draft boards. I'm going to come out with my draft here probably in another week or so, preliminary draft. And then, of course, that's what we're going to need. And then corners, if we can get Gibson back, and you got Redmond training in, and some of the other younger guys that played a little, we may need still to go out to one corner, experienced corner. But I'm just looking at the secondary. And then more than anything, we need a experienced safety. And there's some out there in the portal that I've looked at on film that I think will be sufficient to help build that secondary up. And Coach Martinez, if he's still there, because a lot of those guys' contracts have expired. And I don't know where Martinez is on his contract, but I'm pretty sure we have several folks that contract expires on the 31st of January. So we have to look and see what. And then, of course, if Banks gets another job, he may want to take a couple of those guys with him, to his new job. So we'll have to look at that and see what's going on with that. But with that said, so that's on the secondary. That's in the secondary. We need a bell cow linebacker to kind of lead that linebacker room. Need somebody that knows how to stop, knows how to get people in the right gaps, knows how to keep people from. Because one of the things I saw with our linebackers, they overshot a lot of plays. They went inside when they should have gone outside on runs. And so our running game was real terrible. Our linebackers did not back up our defensive line at all. And our defensive line got whooped a lot on the interior in several games. Most of the games we lost, our defensive line, our interior defensive line was beaten. And the gap integrity is what we need with our linebackers. And so we need to pick up a bell cow linebacker. And then we got plenty of edge rushers. Some of the young folks we got in there in recruiting are going to be able to step in, but we have quite a few edge rushers coming back. That's going to be able to help us. I think was Hearn to be back, and then you got the kid from Alabama. I can't think his name right now, but he played pretty good. Kind of banged up, but he played very well. And then Tyree Weathersby, I think he'll be back. And then looks like the only it looks like it'll be one individual coming back. As on a defensive line, that's a defensive tackle, I believe. And then we'll have it depends on the other young guys and stuff in the defensive tackle position. But we need to pick up a couple of good defensive tackles. And I have some ideas of some guys that we should look at. But that's the story on the defensive side of the ball. Offensive side of the ball, offensive line play in the games we lost was not good. They were not good. They played better against Oklahoma, but against Alabama we didn't get any push. We got whooped at the point of attack. We gave up a lot of sacks against Alabama, and Pierre for Alabama, he owned the edge. I think he had 3 sacks on our quarterback, 2 or 3 sacks. But anyway, and then so they need to improve on the offensive line. And one of the things is the offensive tackle that got hurt. He kept getting hurt, so I can't. What's his name? Moy from Arizona, transfer from Arizona. When he went out, you could tell there was a drop off in the interior line. And then I think Perry is more suitable for playing tackle position than playing as a guard. And then the other big guy, 74, can't think of his name right now. He got whooped a lot too on the interior. Pendleton, he got whooped some at the center position also. Satterwhite and Pendleton, they played pretty good overall in my opinion. At that center position. So we pretty well set right there. We don't need to pick up anybody there. But as far as offensive linemen, we're pretty good. We just need to play better. And they need to get stronger. Need to get in that weight room and get stronger and bigger. And that's what David Sanders needs to get. He's around 205, they say, but he still looks real lean. He needs to get up to around about 320, 325 and get stronger in the upper body, so he can handle those bigger, strong ends and the quicker, and get more agile, so he can handle those quicker edge rushes. But then that's offensive line. Bell cow running back, we need one to go along with those guys I mentioned earlier. And then I talked about the receivers. And don't know what we're going to do at quarterback. Aguilar, if he gets that extra year, will be set. I think Merkling is going to go into the portal because he's not going to just sit back for 3 years and not get to play at all. So I look for him to go in the portal. And if we can't keep Aguilar for an additional year, then I believe Tennessee will look aggressively in the portal for a quarterback. Right now, it's about 10 real good quarterbacks out there with playing time, and they've had their own issues here and there. It's a local kid, Kenny Minchey. He's the number one. Kenny Minchey from Notre Dame. He's the number one quarterback in the transfer portal right now. So and he's from out of the Nashville area. So we'll look at. They may have to look at that. But anyway, so the players I've been looking at, Jeremiah Harkness from Purdue, big defensive tackle, started, and he's was 6'3", 6'4", 345. He'll be able to move in there and help those younger guys out that's playing in the interior defensive line. And then the running back, I looked at C.J. Baxter from Texas, who was hurt. He's 6'1", 228 pounds. He'd be that big back that we don't have on the team. And then another running back, Micah Frazier from Michigan State. He's I think 218 pounds, 5'11", 218, 220. He's another running back we could look at. And then safety, one of the best safeties I see out there in the portal is Landon Cleveland from Oklahoma State. He's another guy that Tennessee should look at in the portal. He could come in right away and work right with Farouk at that safety position and give us the strength we need in order to play against the teams in the SEC. And then another defensive lineman, defensive tackle, Darren Conley. He's another defensive tackle I mentioned. Then Omarion Brown, and then Terrence Hibbler. Those three defensive tackles. Well, I think Hibbler may be from South Alabama, but those guys are some guys I think Tennessee should look at. And then, of course, running back Samuel Brown, big back out of Rutgers. He's in the portal. So I pointed out three big running backs that I think. I didn't look at any receivers because we're going to have to wait and see what we do. If we can hold on to Legend Bay with all the drama and so forth that he's bringing, then we should be all right. But anyway, getting back to the defensive coordinator, we talked about Jim Knowles, Jeff Wilcox, who was just recently fired as the head coach at California. He's a candidate also. We talked about Haynes. We talked about Ron English from Louisville, and then you had Corey Batoon. He's another defensive coordinator, and then Clayton White, and then we also talked about Ryan Walters from Washington. So this depends on who Josh Heupel is looking at, and depends on what he wants in a defensive coordinator. He wants to get stops. If you can keep the ball in your offensive hands with stops on defense, you can win games. Okay? So you listen to the old adage that run the ball, play good defense, and you win games. And then also be efficient in the kicking game. And so that's what's going on. Listen to Talking Balls and Boogie Bentley this morning, and he was talking about guys opting out. I don't know how many are going to opt out. Now, they should be, all of these juniors should be, and I'm talking like Brazel, McCoy, and Colton Hood, or any junior that thinks he is going to get a good draft grade. They should be putting their names in for NFL evaluation. And if they come back with a first or second or third round grade, you may see those guys opt out. And the seniors, of course, Joshua Joseph is a senior, Star Thompson is a senior, Miles Kisselman is a senior, Dominic Bailey is a senior, Bryson Eason is a senior, Brazel's a junior. Jamal McCoy's a junior. Jackson Moore, I think he may be able to come back for one more year. I had to check that. And then I think Tyree West may be able to come back for one more year also. And then, of course, Colton Hood is a junior. And then Andre Turrentine's a senior. Jalen McMurray's already been picked to go to the Senior Bowl to play. And then, of course, William Wright is a senior. So, but they may opt out of the bowl game. Tennessee's to face Illinois in the Music City Bowl. And, of course, a lot of fans are not excited about that. They look at it as being a disappointment because most of the fans wanted to go to Florida and get one of the Florida Bowls. But that didn't happen. So, that's what's going on with Tennessee. Don't know what's going on with Joey Housley. I know his name has come up for several jobs as OC. His name came up for Florida OC position, so we don't know what's going to happen with that, and we don't know what's going to happen with any of the coaches really on the defensive side of the ball. And I think evaluations is going on. I think Coach Heupel is doing evaluations of everything. I think the running backs played well. Bishop just missed 1,000 yards. The receiving group, so you look at both of those coaches, you look at both of those, the wide receiver coach and the running back. Sims, the running back coach. And I can't think his name right now, but the receiver coach, he's done an exceptional job. He had 1,000-yard receiver, led the SEC. That's in Brazil. And then you had Staley and Matthews on. I think Staley broke 800-some yards receiving. And then, of course, Matthews was right there on the edge, verge of breaking 800 yards receiving. So those guys, that's what's going on with the coaches on the offensive side of the ball. So they did real well. Offensive line, you look at the offensive line. Offensive line didn't play as well as I thought they could play with the players that they have. Tight ends, the young tight ends, they're going to be explosive. Deshaun Brain and Del Soler, they're going to be complementary to Ethan Davis. Ethan Davis is going to be, I think he's going to be a star. As long as he doesn't get hurt, he's going to be a star in the offense next season. But don't look for any of those guys to go in the portal, hopefully. And you never know about these young kids. They'll jump in the portal on you in a heartbeat. But that's what the story is on Tennessee right now. So let's recap the recruiting class for the Big Orange. And but just looking at that recruiting class, I changed it. I pulled the third spot right there. That's where Celeste Moe was, and he did not sign. He signed with Utah, and I put Legend Bay in at number 27. But just looking overall at the recruiting class, Faison Brandon, he's got good size. He's gonna probably pick up another 5 pounds maybe. I think he'll probably fill out around 215 or 225 maybe, just depending on how the nutrition and stuff is going, weightlifting is going for him. But I think he's going to be about 225 probably once he fills out. He has all the tools. He can make all the throws. He can run with the ball when he needs to. He can run zone read option if he needs to. And Tristan Keys is a big receiver. He kind of reminds you of the kid that's playing for the Browns right now. Tillman a little bit faster. He's going to grow into a Tillman. Tillman was about 215, 6'3". So I think Tristan Keys is going to grow into a 6'3", maybe 215 guy once he gets into Tennessee's weight room, start eating well, and gets on the conditioning program. And T.J. White, the linebacker, he's already a man. I think he's around 230 right now. He's probably going to fill out around 235 or 240. And he's already going to be an addition to that linebacker room. He just needs to learn. That's the only thing wrong with our linebackers. They just need to learn how to read better and be more instinctive when they're watching their gaps and shooting their gaps and watching the running back, making tackles and so forth. They're good tacklers, but when they miss tackles, they miss them based on the read, on a bad read. And so that's usually what the situation is with Tennessee's linebackers. And then you got Joel White. Joel White, athlete. He's going to start out probably at the free or strong safety. Hopefully he can work in there. I saw him in the championship game in the state of Tennessee this past weekend. And he's every bit of 6'5", 6'4", 6'5". One of the things I think he's probably they're going to probably start him out at the free safety. I didn't watch his tackling. But to play safety, you got to be an enforcer, and you got to be able to tackle. You got to come up and hit that run, and get into that line and make the tackles. You got to make the reads, and then when the ball is in the air, you got to follow the ball. You can't you got to keep everything in front of you, and can't let the receivers get behind you. And you got to know how to support your corners when you need to. Which means just once the ball's in there, you got to go after that ball. I'll give you an example of it. Deion Grant lasted 13 years in the NFL. You know why? Because he could do that. He was an enforcer on the run, and he could follow the ball and made it hard for quarterbacks to look him off. That's what you need as a free safety. Strong safety's got to be an enforcer. He's got to stop the tight end, shut him down. You got to know how to stop that tight end, shut him down. And he's got to be able to cover whenever offensive coordinators scheme a fast receiver on him. He's got to be able to hold up and cover. Because a lot of them are going. A big guy like Joe White, if he's out there, you're going to see offensive coordinators scheme a slot receiver or a fast X and Z receiver against him. Try to see if they can beat him deep. But anyway, Gabriel Sender, he's just going to have to learn behind the big guys. He's going to be a good player, big guy, around 6'7" and a half, 345 pounds, 5-star. He's going to be able to work into that offensive line room. Now, I think we're going to have some movement in some of these players on the offensive line. There's a lot of offensive linemen at Tennessee. There's a lot of them not getting to play. So we'll see what happens with that as the time goes on. Braden Rouse, real good linebacker. Going to have to get bigger, long and rangy. He's one of the best linebackers. Him and T.J. White, two of the best linebackers in recruiting, out there in the country. And then Kamar Blair, he's another big tackle. He's going to have to do the same thing Gabriel Sender is doing. Get in there and learn with Sanders and learn from Hurd. Now, Hurd may not be going to the pros. If Hurd doesn't get a first or second round grade, he's probably going to stay because he'll be a senior next year. He'll probably get a first round grade if he stays another year. And they, from what I'm hearing from all the other YouTube shows, I listen to Talking Balls and watch it all the time. And I think Boogie Bentley mentioned that he may be staying. So we'll just have to wait and see. And of course, the guys over at On3 and VarQuest, they're saying that. Listen to what they're saying, you know. And if you get a chance, hit those sites, and you'll find a whole lot more information than what I have, because I hit them. But anyway, the Tyreek King, slot receiver. He's gonna have to sit there and learn behind Staley. You see how quick Staley learned? Staley's, it would be hard for me to fathom Staley being around in 27. I say 27 because Staley is such a good. But see, the fact is, he's a redshirt freshman. He can leave, but I think he's good enough to play at that slot in the NFL. Right? You know, and just look at him next year. He's gonna be something else. And then, and he'll be able to train behind. Tyreek King will be able to train right behind Staley. Okay, and then looking at Hezekiah Harris, another edge rusher, looks real good from what I've seen on film. Zach Rose, I think Zach Rose is going to grow into a strong end. He's already 260 at least. And he's from up here, not too far from where I live, and over in East Robertson County. And then, of course, Zayden Anderson, pick up a little weight, get up to about 190, 6'1", 170 pounds. He's another cornerback that's going to be good. He's a 4-star. He's another guy out of Greenville, Tennessee. He's going to be able to keep coming in and learn and play. And then Deron Albert, watched him on film. He's going to be a run stopper. He needs to just get in there and go to work. Kedrick Golston, to me, they list him as an edge, but I think he could be play an outside linebacker role more than an edge. But he's got the legacy with his daddy being an NFL player. And then, of course, Darrell Rivers right now is already a strong end. He's a strong end and could grow into a D tackle. And then Javonte Smith, another good corner. Just got to get in there and go to work. Joel Combe, another guy that's going to be able to come in and play that safety out of Georgia. He's came from a good program down there in Georgia. So we'll have to wait and see what these guys do and see how they develop. Luke Thompson from over here, I think he's over in the Franklin area, somewhere over in there. He's another guy. Get in there and go to work, learn, see how well he can progress. Safety. And then, of course, KJ McLean, another safety out of New Jersey. Got to get bigger, but he has very good ball skills from what I've seen, and he'll be able to go in there and get to work. And, especially a lot of these kids are going to go in early and be able to play and practice in the spring. And then Jamin Kid Theodore, he's another kid from Tennessee. Got to get a little bit bigger and stronger. You want your corners to get up to around 190, 195, and they'll get there with the nutrition programs that Tennessee has. Edward Baker is an interior lineman out of Maryland. He just got to get there and work. Good run blocker. It's a lot of stuff for an offensive lineman to learn. Now, I had an old offensive line coach tell me one time, people don't realize this, but offensive line takes development, takes years of development. It takes a kid longer to get to where he can play in the offensive line than it does in the skill positions. And so seeing the young guy come in there right away and play like David Sanders, it's got to be very difficult for David Sanders this year because he was just right out of high school and he played a lot of games. He was hurt for a few games, but he played pretty well and handled his own in a lot of games down the road. We'll see how well he plays in the bowl game. But and then Luca Wolf is a kid out of London, England. He's going to be able to fall into that tight end room. We're losing one tight end, and that's Kisselman. And so I think Luca Wolf is the only tight end we picked up in recruiting. Naquan Simmons was a late commitment. He's another D tackle, 6'3", 310. Get in there and go to work. And then Logan Fowler's a big giant punter. We already have a good punter there, but he'll be able to get in there and go to work with him and learn from him and take over once he graduates. Carter Gooden, he's an edge rusher, a highly rated edge rusher that we picked up and we were able to flip him. And he's going to grow into a strong end or be able to play the D tackle position. Probably. I think he may be able to get on the field right away. Just looking at him, and I think Zach Groves, he's another one, and Hezekiah Harris. That's 3 guys right there that may be able to play in the defensive line and replace the guys we're leaving. And of course, we could pick up some defensive tackles in the portal to help train these guys and help work these guys in and get them better situated. Right now, we've only had one casualty from the D line, and that was Jamal Wallace, and also Lindstrom. Lindstrom, he was a defensive end, and he was in the portal right now too. Then of course, Legend Bay athlete. Legend Bay is a Swiss Army knife, and he ran a 10-200 meters. I look at that, and he's probably about a 4.6 or 4.7 40 guy. Maybe faster than that. Very quick. And he's probably hitting around 22 miles an hour when he runs. And so hopefully he stays with us. But the whole entire situation with him is that I think his parents doesn't want him to go to Ohio State, which is mother, and I think that his mother liked the money or the financial situation better than what Ohio State was presenting, and she liked the coach. She liked the coach better. So, and then the coach that he was going to up there in Ohio State was he took the South Florida job. I think his name is Brian Hartline. He took the South Florida job. So just looking at that, that's what happened. And we just have to sit back and wait and see if we still keep Legend Bay. But and then last but not least, Jordan Carter was another edge rusher we flipped, and he is a good player. This kid is going to be able to play right away as a freshman. So we picked up at least 4 defensive linemen, I think, are going to play right away. And then J.J. Finch, I have him down as being from Alabama, but if I'm not mistaken, he's from Indiana. And I do believe that Finch will be able to get on the field right away because I think he's going to be a D tackle. I think he's going to grow into a D tackle. But with that said, that was just giving you just an idea of what's going on with the recruits that we have and how we're looking at the portal. And then I just made some recommendations for Coach Hyper and those guys or anybody or any of the fans to hear of some of the players I think they should go after in the portal right now. Right now, the portal is real fluid. A lot of players are slowly moving in there. Now, one of the things I did notice in the transfer portal, there's not a lot of playing time in the portal. Most of the football players that's in the portal at the current time do not have playing time. And the players that I picked out for Tennessee to look at are players who have playing time, actually played minutes, significant minutes for their team. So if you look at it, that's the reason why I picked those players out So Tennessee will look for players with experience. Now, it costs you to get players with experience. It's going to cost a little bit more money to get players with experience, but everybody's going to be going after those guys. If a guy's out there with 3 stars and he has 0 stars out there on 3 or 24/7 as a player, that means he hasn't played. So, with that said, and then of course, let's see here. I had one more thing I want to show. It probably doesn't really pertain to Tennessee, but let me see if I got that fixed right. So, but anyway, this is the final. Well, this is not the final poll. Notre Dame got left out. I'm going to have the final breakdown in there for you. Notre Dame got left out. And then you had the Sun Belt Conference winner got in. BYU got left out. And then so Tulane got in out of the AAC. Miami got in out of the ACC. And then James Madison got in out of the Sun Belt. They were conference winners. And I don't believe I've updated this slide yet. Okay, I haven't. But I'll on the next show, I'll see if I can get that out there to you. But the actual bracket has been set up out there. Let me see what I can do here. Just take a minute. Let's see here. Let me see if this is it. This may not be it. I have to look and see. Okay, yeah. But anyway, I'm gonna pop this over it to you. But the so this is current. This is what we got currently. And so the top 10 playoff, I think Tennessee fans ought to look at that because that's where we need to be next year. I don't know if they're going to go to 16 teams, but if you notice, there's nobody in the top 12 other than Alabama with more than 2 losses. Alabama got in somehow or another. And I really do believe Vanderbilt should have got that spot. But, so let's look at the bracket. Just looking at the bracket, okay, you got, and it's real hard to see. I know you can't see it, but this is NCAA's bracket. James Madison will play Oregon in the first round. I think that, I don't know, let's see, I think that starts, the first round starts on the 19th, a Friday night, and then you get the rest of the games on the 20th. But James Madison and Oregon play the first game where they play each other first, and then Alabama will play Oklahoma. Alabama has to go to Oklahoma. James Madison has to go to Oregon. And then, of course, Tulane has to go to Ole Miss, which Ole Miss already beat Tulane in the regular season. I think they beat them something like 41-18 or 17 or something like that. And then, of course, Miami will have to go to Texas A&M to play Texas A&M. And then the winners of the first round will face Texas Tech, Indiana, Georgia, and of course Ohio State. So breaking that down again, winner of the Miami Texas A&M goes to Ohio State. The winner of the Tulane Ole Miss game goes to Georgia. The winner of the Alabama Oklahoma goes to Indiana, and the winner of the James Madison Oregon goes to Texas Tech. So that's the story. So So anyway, with that said, that's going to end this show. I have some more information for you in another show. I'm going to do a consolidated show, which I'm going to talk about Vandy and look over and Tennessee State, Middle Tennessee State, and Memphis. Of course, Memphis has a new coach, and you saw it on my ticker there. They've hired Charles Huff away from Southern Mississippi. I'm familiar with Charles Huff because he actually was at Tennessee State here in Nashville, and he was also at Vanderbilt with James Franklin. And a very good recruiter, going to do a great job. Memphis has a lot of resources. What people don't realize, you hear people say Memphis doesn't rate out, but Memphis has money. Memphis has big boosters with deep pockets. But anyway, with that said, that's going to end this Tennessee show. And this is the ShallowCross Sports Network. Remember to like and subscribe and hit that thumbs up. And we'll see you on the next show.